So now, when we see the four quadrants, we're really going to see these, should be able to see these very distinctly. The differences, that's why we add these two things together. Excuse me. So if your sun's in the subjective half of the chart, it's down in the personal side. It's in your personal subjective being. Not so much about functioning. It's who am I? I'm this important. I'm as good as this. I'm as bad. I got to find this in me. It's like trying to find your own confidence in yourself. To yourself. But there's two sides of this. There's one half that's going to be subjective, but projecting. And there's going to be one half that's subjective and reacting. So if you're subjective and rising, your subjective being is going to be, the sun is going to empower your subjective being and empower your need to project. So how is your confidence going to come? By projecting your own subjective being, by projecting where you're coming from. Someone in the third house could be always talking about their family at home or what they're going through. Someone in the second house could be talking about money and resources and what's valuable, what they think is valuable, whether other people think it or not, or projecting their identity, their image, or putting the empowerment into how they look or how they, so they can project this package out. But it's really, it can be trying to reach those areas, but it's really about how I feel. It's a subjective projection, what you put out. What you put out is going to determine on your face, happy, sad, whatever, it's going to be determined whether you're radiating and putting out good energy or not. And if you're not putting a good energy, if you're putting a good or bad, are you going to attract good or bad friends, good or bad people, friends or enemies? And if you project out worry or negative, you're worried about the state of affairs in the world, you're worried about going out there and you're worried about doing things, and you're projecting this worry on your face, who is it going to attract? It's going to attract worried people. And if worried people attract worried people, not that much is going to get done. How do you attract good people, radiant people, confident people, if you're projecting worry? If you do attract them, you're going to feel put down or really inadequate because you're being doubtful and everyone else is functioning in a more positive note. Or you're going to think they're all caught up in a certain thing. I know what I know and I've got to go with what I'm going. But it can work to build you up to yourself. But even a kid starting to school or anything, you've got to get them to project and put out where they are. Well, usually the kids that are projecting subjectively and putting things out, they're not in touch socially. They don't have the sensibility to have the boundaries of how they're affecting others. So often they're more disciplined. They might be the greater geniuses, but they may be more disciplined as they're trying to learn, or punished for projecting their stuff and not doing it the way the team is ordering it, or the teacher's ordering it, or the partner or the husband doesn't need to project. So I look back, I've been married 3 times, divorced 3 times. And I look back and I was sure I knew my wife. I projected, I was into my things, I'm doing my things, and she was with me and we were together on this and it was great. But really looking back over the last 50 years, I look back and I realize I may never have met my wives. I met my projections and they mirrored my projections very well for a while. So it wasn't wrong, it's just how it happened. But I couldn't see that because I'm too busy projecting. I had my blind spots. Okay, I wasn't that reactive. I was affected by it, but still my struggle was in carrying on with who I felt I is, what I had to know, what I had to do or say. When I was in the marriage, I felt the relationship was there as a reward because I was teaching the right things, doing the right things. Whoa. That's different than thinking, hey, we're relating, we got a world mixing together, we got choices. Yeah, so I was more dysfunctional. Basically, I am more dysfunctional than I am subjective. I have more depth, but where it fits in, you're an astrologer, you do what? Huh. Yet in its own world, it has its value. That was enough for me. Okay, so it spins over to all different levels, and you're always seeing it in different ways, but that's because I'm a projector with a subjective focus. And my confidence comes from being able to project my depth, where I'm coming from, my motivation. Whew. Even when I'm teaching class, I'm using my example, like same thing, putting this out. So if someone's on the subjective side and they're on the reacting side. They're taking things in from other people. You hurt my feelings. You did this. You like me? Okay, I'll do this. You want me? Okay, I'll do this. Hey, mom, look at me. Watch. Hey, honey, watch me. Wasn't I good? The feedback is needed, and someone says yes, and boy, they're there again and again and again. They're personally reinforced to do that. But even the selective side, even on the setting side, subjective, if you're in a social situation and someone forgets to introduce you or introduce you with less importance than other people, it's going to have a deep effect on your feelings. You're going to feel very disassociated because someone forgot to make a point of giving you a little extra attention when they're introducing you. So the difference is I'm meeting people. Often I see where the conversation is going, and it's going away. I add other things to try and direct where the conversation, the content is going. And I often interrupt people and very socially inappropriate. Someone's setting is taking in the feelings, and if they're not getting the good feedback, they're disassociating. They can get angry, they get whatever, but they're really affected by that. So something as simple as introducing someone, and you're with someone, 3 or 4 people come, you introduce them, and you forget to introduce somebody. You forget to make a special point of introducing your wife or whatever, or someone just says hi, and you say hi to them, and this is, and you're ignored a little bit. That hits the feeling side and affects their behavior very deeply. So you put that to students, 2 different students studying, 2 different subjects of people studying. One needs to follow that and burn on their own inspirations, even though it might disturb everyone else. Then it needs to get a feedback from everyone, more high maintenance than that. We need the feedback to encourage, and then they can be better than anyone else. A little encouragement. Wow. Okay, those are 2 types of people in a class that need special personal attention. They're not just going to fit into the social rules. But then you have the people in social, with their sun above the horizon in the objective functional world. You don't have to do anything to be subjective, just there. But to be objective, you have to function. It affects other people. You're seeing interactions with other people. You're trying to participate. It's important to be part of things and to be making a difference in the world, and have a job to interrelate. It's important to relate. It's important to trust. It's important to do business, to understand what people are doing. It's important to be connected out there. That's reality. The sun's above the horizon. So it's easy for the gang of people above the horizon to say, this is reality, and being subjective, that's nonsense, you're just messed up. It's easy for one end to put the other. So the above the horizon was socially ostracized or put down someone. The sub people below would just hide away and not share their personal insights. So they're genius. Many artists, really super creative, but you're never going to see them because they can't get through the outer functional demands. They thrive on not having that and on having to mind themselves. So when you have it above, you're mining, it still has a creative focus. There's a need to be creative socially, to be functional with other people. So someone in the sun in the 5th house needs to get applause. Someone in the sun in the 5th house, in the 11th house, up high, is going to want to get importance by pulling people together, by having the team, by having the group, by being known by everybody, by knowing everybody. It's going to be, I'm out there, I'm in touch with things. Wow, that's what life's about. Okay, so at its strength, it's creative functioning. At its weakness, it's very superficial interreactions just to fit in with everybody. Doing what everyone else is saying, doing what the rules are, what's appropriate. So out of the social functional side of being able to cooperate to accomplish things, like the team, the group, is greater than the individuals that make it up. But it's only as strong as the weakest individual. But they work together to make a team go. Okay, so it's interesting, in the Super Bowl that just passed, just example, the underdog won. The underdog team won with a last-minute substitute quarterback coming in and having lead the team. But they worked as a team, and they beat the team that really had the star quarterback that won all these games. So the best of, he's going to win no matter what. And that individual powerhouse, that creative quarterback, out in the team things, he got out-teamed. he made too much attention to him. It affected the spirit of the team, and they didn't do as well as the lesser team that held together and worked together. Wow. That's just a contemporary, recent good example, but that's the 2018 Super Bowl. I better say that just in case anyone a year from now or so is thinking about it. But in the above functional areas, there's two sides to the functioning. If you're in the 12th, 11th, 10th house, you're in the thinking quadrant. Your power comes in trying to influence and get other people thinking about you. You're pushing your energy out to improve your status, to improve who you know, to know more people, to make a stronger impression, to get a better position, to be in a position to be able to hold things together. And you're thinking about what it takes to hold things together, what it takes to fit in, what it takes to accomplish things, what it takes to get hired, what it takes to maintain a job. So the thinking is putting your energy out, but you're always thinking about what's next or how you build up or where you're going. It's very ambitious. Okay, that's the 12th, 11th, 10th. But the movement, as it's moving out to thinking about other people, there's less time to be thinking. When you're thinking about other people, you don't have the time to get caught up in your own mood or your own feeling. That's going to interfere with your ability to think. So you're going to be strong social functional projecting what's real and trying to fit into what's real to make it happen in that thinking quadrant. That's its own special capacity. But when are you ever going to get time for yourself? You got to go with what you have. You got to fit in. You got to do this. You got to take on commitments. You got to make things happen. Well, it puts your energy out there. So it makes you very functionally creative, but not necessarily having a lot of content, personal content. So someone can have a lot of personal content with poor functionality. Someone can have great functionality in really good positions, but they don't have depth. Everyone has their personal side. Everyone essentially has depth. But when your son's in a certain place, you're putting a certain power, and you're putting a priority in a certain area. And that priority should show in life. For a person with a son in the thinking quadrant, it's important if they're coming out of wherever they're coming out of the home or whatever, it's important. They'll get motivated by going to school, by getting out, being part of a team, by being part of this, being part of this group. The groups that I have to do this, I have to fit in this, I got to get. They're going to be motivated by thinking. They're going to be empowered by thinking, not empowered. You can't go do that. You didn't do the homework, so you're held in all the time, and you can't go to play sports or whatever. If you have the restrictions preventing your going further, that's going to diminish how much you can do. Like sometimes it might be necessary. Like I'm trying to think it for me. When I think it for me, it gets very perplexed very quickly. When I'm thinking about, then I put it as students. If you're trying to teach a kid or something, which way do they need to be taken? And then I start seeing it more clearly. Then it goes back to me thinking, when I was a student, how did that happen? Then I see it being confirmed. I'm seeing my unique situation inside of that. This is working a chart. It's working a planet in a situation until you've got a coherent sense of that being, of that presence, of that energy. Wow, isn't that therapy? It's so, even though it's hard to find words, it's important to take some time to see the sun is empowering and shining strongly in one area more than another.